I'm Ito from Gunma University. I am acting as the president of the Japan Society of Intellectual Production. Please allow me to introduce myself. I worked in the R&D section of a private company, and I moved to Jikei University Hospital as a researcher. I made publication, I supervised students, and over time, I shifted my focus to the university-industry collaboration. I'm here to talk about export control system. However, I have to admit that I'm not the expert here, and I'm also not a legal expert on the export control. Please allow me to introduce the Japan Society of Intellectual Production. We facilitate the collaboration of different sectors so that we can improve the intellectual productivity as well as enhance the value of the output. So universities will collaborate with the external organizations, and sometimes such collaboration would give immense impact on the universities. And there are lots of compliance issues that needs to be well understood by university. One of such is the export control system. As Professor Watanabe asked me to give you a presentation, and recently we have compiled the request for the overall export control system. So I would like to touch upon the request or petition that we've submitted. But before that, please allow me to go through the background. In 2008, the plan for 300,000 exchange students has been established by Japanese government. And in accordance with that, a mixed who oversees foreign exchange law took the leadership and initiated the export control system campaign. In around 2008, I think more than 100 explanatory sessions were held at universities by MEX, the Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry. And 2009, Japan Society for Intellectual Production created guidelines for establishing and practicing a voluntary control system for security trade and security trade control guidelines for university researchers. We created these guidelines in collaboration with METI and MEXT. ICE recently created English version of these guidelines, and we put them up on the website. That's a very good English textbook for foreign students, so if you are interested, please come visit our website. And then in 2010, a standard for export control system was enforced. With this, even the university organizations are requested to have a system to comply with the export control in Japan. So if the university doesn't have such system in place, that means that the university has nothing to do with the overseas organization. Researchers on an individual basis when it comes to nuclear power were quite active in exchanging with the overseas entities, and they always referred to the guidelines of the METI advice. And so prior to 2010, I mean, those researchers are always referring to the relevant laws and rules to have a good control of export system. So this time we have submitted the request regarding the export control system to mainly Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, METI. And our request also went to next Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science and Technology, which supervises higher education. And also our request also went to Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which supervises foreign students sectors. And we worked together with the Intellectual Property Association of Japan, as well as Center for Information of Security, Trade Control. All those organizations, including our organization, worked together to compile the comprehensive request to those officials. And in our request, there were 20 proposals made. I don't think I have enough time to go through all of them, so I would like to go through the highlights of our request. So this is the main point of our request. Number one is the matter related to education. Number two is about the definition of basic science research. Number three is seeking for the government support on the acceptance of foreign students. Number four is about the provision of information and management tool, which benefit the management of export control in the university. In most of the universities, they set up the export control office. And sometimes the people who used to work for the same section in private sector came to work in the university export control office. And there were lots of confusions now. And those confusions were summarized as identified problem, and that was included. First of all, for the undergraduate students, undergraduate student also needs to refer to the export control system, but the existing textbook which is available in the market is considered to be publicly known knowledge. However, when it comes to the new textbook, which is not commercially available, depending on the content, sometimes MEXT needs to regulate. This indicates that undergraduate student study may be regulated by the law. That would generate confusion. That may generate confusion. So we asked MEXT to give us the proper guideline as to what to do with the new textbook, which is not commercially available now. And universities do have a lot of instruments, listed instruments, and if foreign students who are not the resident of Japan were to use those listed instruments, we need to be aware that those listed instruments are regulated by the MEXT. However, the purpose of various instruments are not in most of the cases, harmful. So we asked them to deregulate the use of listed instruments by foreign students. But when the foreign students reside in Japan for more than 6 months, they are no longer considered to be foreign. So they are not to be regulated. However, in the initial 6 months, if the foreign students were to use the listed instruments, and then they have to comply with the regulation. So in around late last year, MEXT compiled the FAQs and posted it on their website to clarify some of the gray zones. So if the use of the listed instruments by the foreign students are legitimate, the MEXT now says that those use of instruments is not to be regulated. Now, I would like to talk about the basic science research. This is outside the scope of regulation now. But what is the definition of basic science research? What is basic science research and what is not? According to the MEXT, it's about the clarification of the mechanism of the natural phenomena, products, actual it says that the intention is not it's not about establishing technology. So when university collaborates with the overseas company in terms of what we call basic science research. If it's outside of the definition of the MEXT, that may be regulated by the Japanese government. So the question is, we don't really know the clear definition of basic science research. When it comes to engineering, oftentimes engineering can serve the social benefit, so that can oftentimes be considered as basic science research, but it all depends on the interpretation of the MEXT, so we need to have a clarification of the definition itself. Next is about the foreign students. Foreign students who are on their government funding, and then the MOFA, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, grants them a visa and accept. And they look at the purpose of the study and so on. Currently, universities decide whether or not they should accept the applied foreign students by themselves. There is very low involvement of the government itself in deciding whether or not we should accept such foreign students. And our request is to ask for the larger involvement of the government, because acceptance criteria can vary from one university to another, and this is not good. We believe this is where government should intervene, introduce consistent acceptance criteria. There is a plan to accept 300,000 foreign students, and we shouldn't just be talking about the numbers. We need to look at the quality as well. What is the scope of listed instrument? That's not crystal clear. So we ask the government to provide a management tool for export control. Sometimes government can make decision for certain area of science. However, when it comes to university oversees a variety of scientific field, and one or two people alone cannot say yes or no to the concerns over the potential harmful activities or technical field. So we ask government to give us some tool to check whether listed instruments are harmful or not. So the use of instrument in the universities, last November, MEXT posted the guidance on the use of instruments in the university, and METI made a table which contains both listed items and technology which is useful for the voluntary export control system in university, and they have taken some other actions so far. So today's theme is the dual use. As Professor Morimoto said, if we have a proper export management, we may reduce the risk of export control. When universities have overseas collaboration, this is one of the most critical issues, I believe. That's all. Thank you.